Hi. Hi. Just waiting for folks to join. Hey guys, just waiting for folks to join. Welcome, happy Friday. We made another week. Hi, welcome. Welcome. Just waiting for folks to join. Happy Friday. We made it another week into all of this. Hey everyone, welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome everyone, happy Friday. So excited for this conversation. Just waiting for Mishel. Hope everyone is having a great Friday. Let's see here. Welcome. I love seeing everyone's name pop up. all these different people I love. We're just waiting for Mishel to join. Hope you're having a great Friday. My name's Hallie. I'm here in LA. Welcome everyone. Hope you're having a good Friday in whichever city you're in, staying safe and healthy. We're just waiting. Hi Tamara. Just waiting for Mishel to join. I'll let her tell you about herself when she joins. Hi everyone, happy Friday, welcome. We're just waiting for Mishel to join. So excited for this conversation. If you guys haven't already, I'm in Los Angeles. My name's Hallie, I'm the founder of Future of Women. If you haven't already watched this season of, well, the past 2 seasons of Vita, but also the most recent episode, this series is like amazing. It addresses so many important topics from gender to race to sexuality to gentrification. The showrunners, the writers, they do a really amazing job at touching on important points. So anyway, we're just waiting for Mishel to join. Let's see. Quickly text her. Hi everyone, welcome. So excited for this conversation. Just waiting for Mishel to join. Just messaged her. But what I was saying is, if you haven't already seen this series, Vita, it is incredible. If you're in Los Angeles, where I am, there are billboards up for it all over the place right now. It's about 2 Mexican-American sisters who are growing up on the east side of LA. And they've both grown up there, they've moved away, and they've returned home when their mother dies. And it's about them kind of returning home, confronting new realities, and dealing with a lot of unfinished business that their mother left behind. Welcome everyone, just hang in here with us. We're just waiting for Mishel to join. Hi, welcome. If you guys, in the meantime, have any questions that you want me to ask Michelle, go ahead and add them in the comments area, and I can make sure that way I look at them now and get to them when I'm talking to her. But this is a really special conversation because Michelle was actually one of the very first people that like humored me in creating the first Future of Women event. So she spoke at the first Future of Women event back in February 2018. And we met at Sundance before that. And so she and another friend, Denise, spoke at that first event. And she's since spoken on film and immigration and helped me behind the scenes make these events possible, from like unloading my car to setting up venues. So we're just waiting for her to join. Let's see. I'm gonna hop off for 1 sec and to make sure that she's not having any trouble. I think, let's see here. Hi everyone, welcome. Hang in here with us. We're just waiting for Michelle to join. I just texted her. But if you haven't already seen this series, it's incredible. The music is amazing. I actually went on Spotify and downloaded the soundtrack for all of the seasons. They work with like a lot of different Latinx artists, and yeah, so much good stuff. I went running to it the other day. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe, oh, perfect. Welcome, Michelle. I am going to add you right now.
On.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I was trying to log on. I guess, like, I don't know, my internet went down because, hashtag pandemic.
The,
So I
the
had to,
new the
like,
new era that we're in. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just, gosh, I'm like, is it Friday or is it July?
I mean, I don't, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's just like one long continuation of everything. Are you home now in LA?
I am home. It is where I'm at most days,
Okay.
I'm sure we all are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, tell us, like, how are you doing? Like,
I'm day to day. I think that's a big part of it, is like really letting myself experience whatever it is. I think some days you feel very hashtag blessed to be in like maybe the position you're in, to be able to stay home or not. And then other days you kind of, I feel this like anxiety of like, how can I help? Like, what else can I be doing to help the people that are really on the front lines of taking care of us as a society now? So it's kind of this back and forth thing that I think sometimes we're a lot more close to it. I feel like it's easy to not experience it as fully when you're running to a meeting or working or whatever, but now we're just like sitting in it.
I think there's been this evolution from like the first week, people are like, wait, what's happening? Then the second week, they're like, okay, this is a thing. And then the third week, you're like, okay, this is my new normal. And then finally you're like, okay, like, let's do this. So it's been
All
like,
right, here we are.
it's been like an evolution. Well, I want to like dive right in because people joined and they've been like asking questions about like what's next for you, like about the series. So I wanted to dive right in, but I was telling them that like we actually met years ago at Sundance. And then I was thinking about it this morning. You and Denise were like the first two that like
Yeah.
humored me in creating the first ever Future of Women event back in
I
February
know I was
2018.
like full on like putting the food
Oh,
together,
that's
cleaning
that's
the
what
food.
that's what I remember. I was thinking about it and I was like, wow, like what a production. Like my car pulls up, we're unloading the food from Kismet and we're setting it out, like we're figuring out like the mic and everything. Like I'm sitting there trying to figure out the sound equipment where I
Oh
like know
yeah, that's
I know
right.
like nothing about sound equipment. So it was like what an adventure. But I mean since then That was, I think, right when the show was starting, I think, right?
Yeah,
In
I
February
just finished
2018?
shooting the show.
Okay.
I think, yeah, we had finished in end of December, I think December 22nd. And then Sundance was in January. And then
Okay.
within like a few weeks later, that's when I think you were doing The Future of Women.
Yeah. Okay. So for people who are joining, before you joined, I was telling them like go watch the seasons.
Oh.
They're amazing. But tell like can you give people like a 30-second blurb about what is the show about? What's the premise?
Yeah, the show takes place on the east side of LA, and it's about two Mexican American sisters who grew up in the neighborhood and essentially leave. One, they're very different sisters. One becomes a much more kind of business oriented person, and then the other one kind of lives a very free lifestyle, kind of finding her validation through men, whereas the sister I play, Emma, finds her validation through work. Their mother passes away. They have to come back, even though they're very estranged, and realize that their very traditional Mexican American mother has been married to a woman who they now have to share their inheritance with, which is a huge surprise.
And so tell us about what it was like to first get cast as Emma. Like what was your journey to getting cast as Emma?
Well, I originally had auditioned for the part of Cruz, who is the love interest, and then I tested, which means that I got to like the final like three choices or something,
Mhm.
and then kind of didn't get it and was like, okay, well, I tested for a TV show, and that's like a huge thing, especially a show I'm so excited about.
Mhm.
And then I um found out, I think maybe like a week and a half later, that the showrunner wanted to meet with me and pretty much auditioned again for another role, which ended up being the lead, which was Emma.
I mean, it's incredible. What I love, something I love about the show is that it, from in on screen to behind the screen, it's all people of color, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
all from the showrunner to the writers. Can you talk a bit about what that was like going through the casting process of that and the like creating the creation of it?
Yeah, I have been a fan of Tanya Saracho's play Fade,
Mm.
and I was really, really, really excited at the possibility to get to be in a room like acting in front of her.
Mhm.
And it was great because there was Robin Schwartz, who's the head of Big Beach TV, who is the production company that puts on Vida, and Stephanie Langhoff and Carmen Cuba, the casting director. There was something really cool about going in there and looking around and being like, these are all women right now. Like the only dude was the guy running the the camera, and I remember walking out after I it was a self tape, and then after one of the sessions, and looking around and about to leave, and I was just like, I actually have to say something. I'm so excited about looking around and seeing all these women and saying I'm like really proud of like what you guys are making with the show, and whether we work together or not, like I just want you to know that that's like kind of, it's probably weird for an actor to be like I'm proud of you, but I was just feeling such joy for that moment and realizing, whoa, something cool is happening in the industry, that this is that, and I'm getting to also be in this room. And then as I was cast, getting to, that's when I started finding out more of the way that the show was being created, which was, a very queer writers' room, very women of color, and then the directors all being people of color that first season, and the second season they're all Latinas. This third season, Latinas. So getting to see that was so dreamy because I think it was something that I'd hoped one day I'd get to do, and I didn't realize that I'd get lucky enough to do it right from the beginning.
Hmm. I love how you can really tell that every part of the series, somebody is thinking about how do you tell it so in such a true way? Everything from the music, which by the way, I downloaded the songs on
Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah,
Oh,
the music is so good.
so good.
To the language. I mean, it is really a mixture of like Spanish and English, like every conversation.
Hmm.
What was it like to watch like the writers and the creators put all of these pieces together so that you were really um, being so true to the culture?
Well, I think it's a testament to what you can do when you allow people to tell their own stories and not just one person speak on behalf of everybody. You really are allowing people to even disagree and have those disagreements end up as scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing us to kind of even poke a little fun at each other, at ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that when someone's painting an idea of you, an idea of what a Latina woman is onto you, and you're feeling like you just need to subscribe to that because it's a job, there really is something different that you're not only seeing, you're not even hearing, but you're feeling. And and I think the Vida shouldn't be an outlier. It should be the way that it is because we all benefit from hearing each other's stories and seeing ourselves represented in
Mm-hmm.
faces and experiences that might not mimic our own, but the emotion of it does that, and our humanity, our joy, our love, our failures, our bag of regrets that we carry around with us sometimes. I think most of the time, if you look at people close up, you see that we all carry very similar doubts sometimes, and missed opportunities, but then those moments of happiness and joy, and realizing that we are so much more the same than we are different in a lot of ways in our core.
Mm-hmm. Growing up in Miami, how are you bringing your experience from growing up in Miami to the series?
I think nobody around me was doing what I'm doing now. And I definitely also feel the difference when I go back home, where home has changed, but I've changed. And I think, oh, I'm still the same. I'm still the same. And then you go back and you're just like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm not the same that I was. I've been gone too long. and and reconciling that, and reconciling like who you are as a Latina woman, as an American, and realizing that these are very American stories, these immigrant neighborhoods, and the way that the children of immigrants assimilate to American culture in a way that is I mean, yeah, it's whether you're Italian American, Jewish American, Asian American, Latin American, whatever it may be, we kind of get that aspect of it. Makes the United States so unique as well.
Yeah. When you go back home and you say that you've changed so much, that Miami has changed so much, what are the differences that you notice both on your side and Miami's side?
Well, the biggest one, which I get made fun of for, is I've apparently have lost a bit of my Miami accent, which some people say doesn't exist.
What's the Miami accent? I mean, I grew
I
up in
feel like I'm
Maine,
gonna get made
so
fun of if I
super
try to
fun.
mimic it, but it's just the way that you speak. I mean, I think it's also just an East Coast kind of way of speaking,
Mhm.
but the way I speak now is a bit more neutral than like people in Miami say super a lot. Everything's like super crazy. I say bro a lot. I don't say bro. I say dude more than I say bro. I say dude.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
little things like that, which I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
is and then, kind of just life experience. I think um, I've learned so much more, I think, about just different cultures that I didn't grow up with. I didn't grow up with a lot of access to Asian culture, which Los Angeles has a lot of it. So now I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I get to kind of experience. But then in Miami, I grew up with much more diversity, I think, within the Latin communities,
Mhm.
or even Caribbean. So, Haitian, Jamaican, as opposed to maybe, just different other
Yeah.
types of
Well,
Caribbean.
your parents are from you're from a few different places within like Latin America. Where are they from? Remind me.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I have a big mix of all sorts of Latin. I got like the Latin grab bag, but my mom immigrated from Dominican Republic, and I grew up much more when she was really young, actually. And I grew up culturally. I didn't really grow up with my biological father, so I was raised by my mom, who's Dominican, and the men in my mom's family all married Cuban women. So all of my tias, like most of the women in my family that I looked up to are Cuban, and my cousins obviously then are Cuban.
Hmm.
And my stepdad is Bolivian. So I grew up with Bolivian culture. My brothers and sisters are all half Bolivian. So this kind of
It's a
interesting
whole, it's a
little
whole mix.
thing where sometimes people are like, oh, like that Bolivian food is your childhood, like chicha morada, which is like this purple corn drink. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, this is the drink of my childhood. You're like, what? You're like Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, da, da, da. And I'm just like, yeah, but my stepdad is Bolivian.
Yeah.
You know, you grow up that.
Were there certain things when you think about like all those different cultures, because they are similar, but they also are very different. Are there certain things that you wanted to like bring into the show? So maybe you guys were on set and you're like, actually, like let's throw this in here because we used to do that when I was growing up.
Well, the set design was actually really, really cool because you realize that there's a lot of universal things.
Mhm.
So one of the things, all right.
Yep, I'm here.
Um, so just little things like Latin people are like the original recyclers. You nothing gets thrown out. So like you have like a tub of yogurt and you open it and there's gonna be beans inside. Like
Hmm.
it's never what you think. So it's like a surprise. Or even there's these like Danish cookie tin. It's like a blue
Uh-huh.
Danish cookie tin.
Yep.
And the worst thing, everybody had this heartbreak when they were a kid. There was never Danish cookies in. It was always a sewing kit or like just beans, I don't know, something, whatever. But then when you did open it and the cookies were in there, it
Hmm.
was a good day.
So my mom who's watching, my mom's Latina, and it's the exact same thing. You open up whatever container, and I'm lucky in that she loves to bake, so there's usually cookies or brownies or something inside, but it's always a surprise.
I
And
feel like
it's
it's
like this
definitely not the tub
constant,
of butter.
yeah, no, it's never what you expect. So I mean, as you guys are writing like they're writing the script, walk us through like what a typical week is, because I imagine that it's a lot of like iteration, right? You guys read the script, you iterate, like walk us through like for people who have no idea about the film industry, what a typical week at Vita looks like.
Well, I think it's, every TV show is different. Even for us, season to season, it was different. The first season, we had almost all the scripts. We knew where these characters were going. The second season, we were getting them pretty much like right before we were shooting them. We usually have an idea of the arc or where things are going to go, but we don't always know. And so we would get the script sent to us, and at some point, I would say maybe like a week, no, maybe like a few days before we start shooting, we do a table read, usually on
Mhm.
our lunch break while we're shooting, so that we can hear it. And then we're also getting updated, like a scene might change and they'll like send you an updated script, so and so yeah, and then pretty much Melissa and I are on set almost every single day. Some of the other characters, can shoot out their scenes within a day or two. Season one, we shot one episode at a time. Season two, we shot two episodes at a time, which means it was a block schedule,
Okay.
which means that they would just pretty much shoot it as an hour. So every scene that took place at this location
Mhm.
would get shot, and for those two episodes, and then season three was three episodes at a time. So it was an hour and a half of content every time. and you know, you for me, I would spend Saturdays resting. Sundays I would work on the scenes for that upcoming week, and then while we're shooting, I would shoot, go home, crawl into bed with my script for the next day, the scenes for the next day, until I fall asleep, and then wake up and go to set. So, I mean, that's like kind of the nuts and bolts of the way that it was. But also, I mean, we had a lot of fun shooting it
You
because,
guys seem like you have a lot of
oh
fun.
gosh, I know, we have a great
It
cast.
seems like a dance party, and I know there's so much work that goes involved, but between the music and the food and the set is just so colorful.
Oh, it really is. I mean, they did such a great job, and we'd sit on the set, and it felt like you were in a living room of a house. And we would, you know, and I think, you know, Tanya and a few, you know, the writers or the directors would always be sending us food trucks as gifts. So we'd get like the elote man, and then we'd get like you know, raspados, which is kind of like a Mexican snow cone, and taco trucks, and all sorts of good food. So, you know, there was a lot of that, and I think we, you know, but it's also a professional set. We go there, we work, and we love being around each other, so it makes it a little bit nicer. And oh, and Melissa Barrera, which plays my sister, is awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love both of your characters.
How great
Amazing.
is she on the show? Come on now, she's
So
like
good. So
amazing.
good. And what I love is when we're watching both of you, I have people in my life that are Lynn and I have people in my life that are Emma.
Yeah,
And you know these characters. These are like friends of mine, they're cousins of mine, like
yeah.
and it's so relatable. Do you have like a favorite episode that for you in some way was like a turning point or um, just felt very like symbolic of what the show is?
You know, there, I would say there were episodes like the warehouse episode for season two, which I feel like is episode eight, was great. I felt like I really enjoyed the scenes. I got some really great scenes with Roberta Colindres, who is amazing, and then I got some great scenes with Melissa, who is obviously amazing, and I think I like seeing the turning point for even the other characters. I mean, Nico kind of gets speaks up, speaks out to Emma, and then Lynn's character kind of like really starts like finding herself and being like, well, I don't need my sister's validation. So I think that was really great. And, you know, and to be honest, like, I think even just as an actor, there were, you know, there's some, this was my first show. So sometimes you like, I mean, just even understanding my limits and my boundaries and feeling supported by other actors. I know that both Roberta and Melissa were really wonderful because I mean there are times I would just get tired and I would
Mhm.
then start to doubt myself and be like, oh, and you're in the middle of it, and having another actor be like, you got this, let's get
Mhm.
back in there and let's do it, and being like, okay, and now working on another show being like, oh, that stuff's kind of hard, the stuff that we do, because you
Yeah.
don't know a difference. So it's like an understanding how beautiful it is to get to work with people that you're really there for each other and understanding. I know that there's like scenes that I couldn't have gotten through if it wasn't for Melissa or for, you know, Roberta. And, you know, just that type of support, I think, makes it so that you can fail some takes and then be like, all right, get back in there and use it, you know, and
What
because
was
I
one of those scenes? Like what was one of those scenes where you're like, oh, this is hard. I'm
you
tired,
know,
or I'm not sure if I'm getting it right, or
sometimes it's interesting. It's not even like the scenes that you think they're gonna be. Like I know I had oh, what scene was it? There's a scene um where is it? I'm trying to remember which episode, but I know the sisters have the uh sold their grandfather's pool table because they have to pay the bills that the mother
Mhm.
has left. And it isn't even that difficult of a scene, but I just remember it was like Friday. It was one of the last things, and I was just like having a hard time staying in the moment. And you know, obviously, like it's people are trying to get the scene done, get it over with,
Yeah.
and you know, Melissa kind of pulled me aside. She was like, she needs a minute, and like pulled me aside and was like, "You got this. Take a breath. We're gonna go back in there." And we did it, and we got it in the take, and it was great. And it was just kind of like feeling like that type of support, I think, is just, you know, it's also a learning thing, because I know I was learning a lot, and it's not like, oh, that was like a super difficult scene. It just was like Friday night, like whatever time, and it had been a week
Yeah.
of like really hard scenes, having panic attacks and having all the things that my character was going through,
Yeah.
and having that. And I feel, I mean, you know, I'm on this other show called Riverdale, which I see all you guys on there, and it's great, because it's like, even I noticed that with like, you know, working with Camila Mendez, like she's also like a very supportive person in that, and it makes a big difference to kind of get to work with actors where you're really there for each other.
Yeah. You can feel on set, or you can feel like in the series, like that you guys are a family. And something that, as you're talking about selling that pool table, I felt like that was like a turning point in like Emma's mentality, where for people who haven't seen the show, essentially your mother has left you this bar, and we learned that like early on, and you're trying to pay all of these bills to get things in order to have this up and running, and the bills have just been adding up, and selling that table to pay some of these bills, I think, is like this mental shift where you're like, okay, we're gonna have to like make some decisions that maybe we're not thrilled about to get this done, and to like for the bigger picture. And I think that's something that when you talk about, like when you think about like the mural that you have outside of the bar, the decision to like whether or not to leave the mural intact, um, is bigger than like a financial decision. It's a decision about like preserving culture. Like, what does it mean to preserve culture?
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear you speak about that, the conversation that Vita's having. You guys are talking about sexuality, you're talking about race, like gender, and gentrification or hentification. And can you tell people like what that conversation looks like, because it's woven throughout the different episodes.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is a lot of times us as like Latinx people and, you know, immigrants, like we find ways to survive. That's really where we're at. And there's a luxury in self-actualization. Like, what does it mean to be alive? Like, you're just like, I'm just trying to stay alive and trying to pay the bills. And as opposed to kind of like thinking back on like, am I living my purpose? You're just like, am I living? That's the difference, you know?
Yeah.
And and I think that's kind of the strength in Emma, which is because she's, women like her don't get there because everything worked out. A lot of times things didn't, and they had to find that strength to get to where they were and to survive. And I think you really see that portrayed in this character of having to make those hard decisions and being like, but this is going to be the what's going to be best in the end. Because with gentrification as well, I mean, I do not pretend to be the expert on it, but I do know, in having conversations with people, and it's a very complicated thing. There's no one way or another, and it's important for us to listen to each other in those situations. I really feel very strongly that, you know, that is one of the most beautiful things, is it doesn't answer it for you. It allows you to spark the conversation, and you have the you know the vigilantes who are protesting these sisters because they're holding on to the only thing that they know, which is their home, in a country that a lot of times tells them they don't belong. That's where they belong, is there. So they're going to hold on to it. And then you have developers coming in and completely restructuring the way that these neighborhoods are built, and tearing down things and making it so that it's unaffordable for people who grew up there to be there. But then you have these two sisters that are from the neighborhood that are essentially catering a bit to the upwardly mobile millennial class of people. And where does that reconcile? Because it is technically their place, and isn't it better that they're the ones making the money and kind of still preserving the culture in the way that they are? Or is it better that it gets sold to a development company that's probably going to put like a, you know, workspace in there?
Yeah.
And I think there's no direct answer, but it's important for us to be conscious and to have those conversations and do the best that we can to be conscious of each other and conscious that we all have different experiences and different access to things. So these two young women are upwardly mobile. They are able to kind of float out of this neighborhood and then come back in. And where does that strength lie? But I don't know. But it's you know it's important to have those conversations.
And I like that the script navigates that topic of whether you're like genderfying or not, because there is this tension between, yes, you and your sister are both from this neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
which is like Boyle Heights in Los Angeles on the east side of LA. You're both from this neighborhood, and so people can't accuse you of like coming in from nowhere. But at the same time, you're trying to create a business. And sometimes that means making hard choices that are going to appeal to a mass audience and maybe bring in people that aren't from that neighborhood. And so I think you see like so many examples of doing that. And what I love is how Melissa's character, Lynn, as she's thinking about what type of entertainment do we bring in to this bar, I
Mm-hmm.
love that she's found this like common ground with bringing in Latinx artists
Totally.
to perform. I think that's like this perfect middle ground.
Yeah, and then, but you know, then it's then being like, do you make the drink prices a certain price where the people that live there can't afford it, but then you're still able to make money because the rents are going up, and you know, all of those things. It's man, it's not simple, and I think that's a big part of what you see both of these sisters really grappling with is that life is messy, 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 and that you know someone like Emma who lives in black and white is just like, well, this is the way that it's going to be. I don't care that you don't like me. I'm going to make this happen. And it's like, well, is that really the right way to be either?
Mhm.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
What has it been like to roll out this series? Because I imagine that it's created this platform for you and all the other actors and showrunners and to have like conversations. What are some of like your favorite conversations that you guys have had with Vita as the platform?
I on a few different levels. I mean, I really do enjoy that people are seeing themselves in their stories and feeling inspired because I think we don't usually get to see someone like Emma, you know, a Latina woman that is kind of really taking the hand that she was given at birth and pushing forward in a way that doesn't always happen for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I think it's important for her, you know, she's become successful, but not as like, you know, a drug lord or as a sexy mamacita. You know, she's a businesswoman and
Mhm.
she's moved her way up in that way. And I think it's what a lot of people have been able to relate to. And she does it in a way that is flawed and broken, but strong.
Mhm.
And I think for us as women, and especially as Latino women, it's important to show that because you can be running a huge company and still take a shower and find yourself like crying and being like,
Yeah.
is this really what it's supposed to be? You know,
Mhm.
and really, really showing that aspect, I think is just, I don't know, I want to see more of it. And I think with that's been a really exciting thing to get to be a part of because you know, Emma very easily could have been a unlikable character. And I think
Mhm.
she's somebody that does things that are unlikable, but you ideally, I'd like to think that you see her heart and you see her struggle. So you're almost like rooting for her, even when she does the thing. You're like, no, girl, don't.
Like you're so
You
close.
you're like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be like that. Like you can, and I think that, that's the way that we are as women in this world. There are days where we are on top of it. We got the green juice. We're running the lap. We're showing up. And then other days where we're just not, and it's hard to even get out of bed, and it's okay.
Hmm. And I think you see her also learning, like as you go through the series, you're seeing her find her own voice. And I think that's
Yeah.
true of your character. I think it's true of Melissa's character, Lynn. Somebody asked how are you similar or different to Emma?
Well, I think I'm similar in the way that I know what it's like to kind of grow up in a working class Latin American neighborhood and
Hmm.
move into kind of other spaces that maybe my mom wouldn't have been a part of, or maybe even my brothers or sisters. But I, I get that. And I get also really being somebody that grew up in a certain way, but wanting more and really taking steps to doing that. I think in those ways, I feel similar to her. I mean, and I think, even certain aspects of like childhood trauma, like I feel like I get that and how you still carry that with you as an adult and really working through that. I also find it really courageous for her to, she's built a life exactly how she thinks she wants it, and she could continue on, but instead she goes back and she really faces her past and doesn't always do it in the best way, but is trying. And I think that we're really, I relate to that because there's definitely been times where I'm like, I see this part of me and I can just accept it and I can love it, which I probably will at some point, but I also want to be able to like evolve and grow and become a better person. And some days you're doing it and some days you're not, but whatever it is being kind to yourself. But I also definitely relate to Lynn a lot because I know how easy it is to kind of be free and float from one party to the other and experience life in a certain way, but then also have the moment where you're like, what about me? How do I get my life and how do I make a career for myself where I'm standing on my own 2 feet and not dependent on another person? And that is a very hard transition to make. Scary.
What, Michelle, what is next for you when you think like yeah, when you think about the future?
Well, I would say
You're on
next.
Riverdale.
Yes, I remember I'll go back and finish some stuff. We had some episodes that we were supposed to finish shooting before, the world tumbled into its into its little tumble area that we're in now. So yeah, so I, feel like I'll probably go back and finish some more of that, and then I'm moving into more producing and writing. So that's also kind of a very scary thing because I keep telling myself I remember when I was scared of doing what I am now,
Hmm.
and now I'm doing it. So then now with this like other aspect of writing and producing, being like, okay, I'm gonna get there. But some days I'm like, this is the best idea ever, and some days I'm just like, oh my God, why did I decide that this is something that I want to do? I don't know. But
What are
there's
you working on? Are there any like specific projects or like ideas that you'd love to explore?
yeah, I mean, right now in this specific time, I'm kind of organizing and putting some stuff together for a TV show, which I think will be really, really fun. And that, it's been a challenge. I think part of it is also just facing your own, like, I don't even know if it's insecurity, but more like you're just like, are you crazy? But
Hmm.
all the best people are.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for spending Friday afternoon with us.
Course.
For people watching, if you haven't seen Vita, go watch it. It is incredible the
Thank
way
you.
that it brings together so many different parts of culture. The questions that it answers or asks, I think, are universal, and I really recommend it. So thank you so
And it's
much.
on Stars.
Mhm.
Because I think if somebody was asking when it's on Stars. And Stars has a deal where it's, I think, $5 for 3 months or something like that. So that is a worthy thing. Or you can do, I think, like 7 days free. So
You can
you
watch
can,
it through Hulu, through Amazon, but then also
mhm.
directly on Stars. So
Yes.
everyone, go watch it. Go listen to the music. Like the
I
music is
know it's
so good.
really
It's
good.
so
Yeah.
good.
It's
It's
on
really
Spotify.
amazing.
Viva.
Yeah, Spotify. Yeah. Well, Michelle, thank you so much.
Thanks for
Stay
having me.
healthy. Yeah, just stay healthy and safe during this crazy time.
Same, and I can't wait till I get to give you a big ol' safe
Me
hug.
too. Me too. We'll go out and have some great food and yeah.
Wow.
I can't wait. Take care. Okay.
Thanks
Talk
for having
soon.
me.
Bye.
Bye.